My father was always prepared to help people, so was my mother, and not being afraid of saying, if you believe in a certain thing, to say and stick to it.
My mother encouraged us always to help, no matter what. She taught us the 10 Commandments, what's right and what's wrong.
You didn't think about to say no. No, they were all human beings, you had to help them.
To był po prostu odruch, no trzeba było przecież, nie trzeba jego ratować.
We had 2 or 3 Jewish families in our city, and I was going to school with one of the Jews, and we were very good friends, and so was my sister.
I did not have any Jewish friends before the war, at least as far as I know. I did not experience someone as Jewish or not Jewish, because the difference was not too great in Holland.
I did not know the word anti-Semitism. I learned that during the war and after the war.
They were all peoples, you know. There was no difference between us.
When did you find out that they were Jewish?
During the war.
My name is Eva Kuper. I'm a child survivor. I now live in Canada, but I was saved in Poland by a woman who was a nun, whose last years of her life were spent here in Laski, which is just south of Warsaw. My first visit here was in 2005, when I accidentally, through several miracles, found again my rescuer, whom I knew nothing about. I didn't know her name, I didn't know her order. Her name was Sister Klara Jaroszinska. She was blind for the last 10 years of her life. She lived in this house. When I met her, I didn't remember her at all. When she came out of the house and they told her that I was there, she opened her arms to me and I ran into her arms. And I hugged her and I held her and she held me and we cried and we shared memories. And she said that God had brought me back to her.
My mother, Fela, and I, then 2 years old, are among the hundreds of helpless, starving, terrified people being rounded up and herded to Umschlagplatz, where the train tracks border the ghetto. My mother's cousin, Regina Banker, who works as a slave in the prison of the ghetto, arrives at the loading platform just in time to see my mother, holding me in her arms, being forced into one of the packed cattle cars. Regina rushes to the cattle car, into which we are disappearing, screaming that I am her child and that my mother is only minding me. Unbelievably, miraculously, my mother is permitted to pass me hand to hand, until I am literally thrown off the train into Regina's arms. The doors of the cattle car slam shut, and eventually that train pulls away. My mother and countless others are never heard from again. At Treblinka, they are murdered within 1 hour of their arrival. I was very young when I last saw her. She recalled that when she met me, that I wrapped my small arms around her legs and looking up at her pleaded, "Please pick me up." She fell in love with me, so much so that she felt compelled to risk her life and the lives of all the other children and nuns in her care. This amazing woman and the precious 2 gifts she had given me. The gift of life, but also equally important, the gift of love.
Imagine that it is 1942 in the Warsaw Ghetto, where life has become unbearable. Many of you visited today.
I am forever grateful to Sister Clara and to the many others who somehow found the courage and the moral fortitude to choose to do the impossible, to risk all that they held dear, their very lives and the lives of their dear ones, for the sake of helping one child survive. Such people restore our faith in man's goodness.